So it sounds like a price book. At the end of the day, it gives you consistency and predictability. Jared!
Hey, what's up, Joel?
Nothing. To answer your question, sorry, Jared, if anybody's listening, Jared Williams asked me a question for the members only, but I'm just going to let this one slide in the normal podcast. I'm drinking of a simple... Simple Truth seltzer water.
Ooh, yummy.
Blackberry hibiscus.
Ooh, that's not good.
We can get an affiliate for that.
Dude, I freaking love sparkling water.
I know. I still
sounds
tell
so lame.
I still tell like I'll make the comment and only Ayla gets it because you or Crystal aren't in the room, and I'll say, "Man, these bubbles are close together." And people are like, "What?" And I'm just like, "They're just close together. The bubbles are close." So, listeners, think about that. Next time you have a fizzy drink, think about the statement or the question: are these bubbles close together, or are these bubbles far apart?
Dude, it's legit.
It is.
Like if you taste two different fizzy waters right next to each other, one the bubbles will seem closer and the other the bubbles farther apart. Like I don't know how else to explain
dude.
the fizziness of the drink. Like
I
the
think
bubbles
that's
have the same strength. There's just not as many of them, right? So they hit your mouth in a different manner.
I'm gonna say two things. First off, this is really a sneak peek into what the exclusive membership area is. It's just more conversations like this. That's the first thing.
Talking about bubble water.
Yeah, bubble water. And then the second thing is, I think that is the best way I've ever heard anybody describe like just fizziness in general. And lots of things are fizzy, not just bubbly water, like champagne, if you're into that kind of thing. Like beer is fizzy, anything that's carbonated, but it can give you another layer to describe the thing in which you want to sound really cool and smart. So you can be like, oh, this beer is chalky, muggy, and the bubbles are close together.
See?
And people will be like, whoa.
Sounds like a good beer to me.
Yeah.
Drink of that.
Chalky. The beer is chalky, muggy.
We're going to have to start a new YouTube channel just about beer.
I love it. The beer is chalky and muggy and the bubbles are close together. Nobody who drinks beer would be like, yeah, that sounds like the beer I want to drink. They'd be like, that doesn't sound very good at all.
Oh, yeah. Heck no. Dude.
Well,
what you want to talk about today?
That's my question to you. What do you mean you put me on a spot like that? What do I want to talk about?
I already know what I want to talk about. So,
oh man, we can talk about all sorts of stuff. Let me well, actually no. Hold on, I got one.
Yeah.
So on my sales calls for Plum Social,
yep.
I always like to talk to the business owners to try to figure out like, okay, what's your business doing now? What part of the business are you in? It's just really helpful to know the full picture.
Right. So you know where they're at. So you can offer
that's right.
The right product for where they're at. Yeah.
Yep. I can offer the right product. I can sort of advise them on all the things that I want to advise them on. So we talk about price and stuff like that a lot, of course. But one thing that we get talking about pricing, it comes into like flat rate pricing, and then that transitions into a price book conversation. And a lot of the times, depending on where the business is at, I usually don't hear the answer, oh yeah, I got a price book. It's solid. It's just everybody uses it. Usually it's like, yeah, I know I should be doing that. I don't want to make the time.
Right.
Or I don't have the time. And so it seems like it's like something that most of these business owners know they need to do at some point. So maybe my question to you is like, okay, one basic question, should they do it? And then when should they do it? And then how should they go about doing it?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. Like there's a lot to unpack there. Yes, they should do it. Number one, because if they don't do it, then they'll never have consistency in their business. They'll never have, the consistency and the systemization that it brings. So like you can bring in a plumber and you can have your price book on an iPad on Service Titan. And I mean, that's probably stopping a lot of guys right there that don't want to get Service Titan because it's expensive. Well,
yeah, sure.
Go grab my hourly rate calculator, calculate your hourly rate, include the cost of Service Titan in there, and then get Service Titan. That's step one, okay? And then you can build your price book. You can build it in Service Titan. I would lay it out on like a notepad or an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document first, just like all the different pieces that you want in there. Like,
Mhm.
because in Service Titan, you've got categories and then subcategories and then the task, right? So
Okay, gotcha.
the goal is kind of like you can bring in a plumber. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You can bring in a
Mhm.
plumber into your business. You can train him on your price book. And then when he goes to a customer's house, he can, with confidence, tell the customer how much that thing is going to cost,
Sure.
right?
Because you can see it right there in the price book.
Very quickly.
Mhm.
And then the other beauty about a price book and Service Titan is that in
Mm.
Service Titan, you can pre-build options, right?
Mhm.
So, and a lot of people get stumped up on options, but we'll go over that here in a minute.
Mhm.
Um, so now you're not only can
Huh.
your plumber go into somebody's house and say, "Hey, your flapper on your toilet needs replaced because it's cracked," right? Now
Mhm.
he can go in there and say, and offer him a new flapper. He can go in there and say, "Hey, your flapper is what's causing your toilet to run. Here's the options you have."
Mhm.
With a click of a button,
And the price
literally,
book gives him
ding,
those options.
and it'll pop up 3 different options on your iPad,
Wow.
and you can go over those. "Hey, okay, Miss Jones, your flapper is the problem. Here's your options. We can change just your flapper for this much. We can rebuild all the guts in your toilet for this much,
Mhm.
or we can get you a whole new toilet for this much,"
Mhm.
right? And then
Mhm.
your guy can be like, "You don't really need a whole toilet, so unless you want one, that's kinda, it's not the best option unless you just really want a
Mhm.
toilet." The
Mhm.
middle option is actually a pretty good option because all the pieces in there are pretty old. The likelihood of something breaking in the near future is pretty good. Or we can just give you the cheapest fix of the flapper, right?
Mhm.
And so now you've like put the choice in the customer's hands. You've given
Mm.
her price comparison of what it costs to get a whole new toilet or what it costs just to fix the flapper. You've given her a recommendation of what you think the best fix would be, the most long-term permanent fix, all at the
Mhm.
click of a button. Like, talk
Yeah,
about
simple.
streamline. Holy
Mhm.
moly. You're gonna see your
Yeah.
sales go up. You're gonna see the time you spend on site go down. Um, and then there's all the back end tracking of that as well that happens in Service Titan. It's like no brainer, right?
Yeah. I'm even thinking about, like, from the customer experience side, like, the diff
Yeah. Oh,
of
yeah.
a technician who comes in, we talk about my problem, he pokes around, and then his next step, if he doesn't have a price book or he doesn't have an idea, maybe he's a little bit newer technician, maybe it's a complicated job, is he's gotta go get on a phone call with
Yeah.
presumably his GM and talk about the pricing. And so now here I'm sitting like, where's this guy going? Like, he might take that phone call right in front of me.
Mhm.
My guess is he'll take it outside or in his truck. And so now
Mhm.
I'm like, what's he talking about? Like, was he to come back with some cooked up idea? Like, I'm already like quasi doubting this exchange.
Yeah.
Now I'm just standing in my basement next to my running problem, like, oh, should I
Yep.
wait? Just makes this thing kind of awkward. But if the guy is just like, oh, I see your problem. Hold on. Yeah, man, what do you think about this? Or like
Yeah.
whatever. Obviously, he wouldn't just be like this. Maybe he would.
Bam.
But like, but just the experience there is like I went from greeting the plumber at my door, having
Yep.
this exchange, walking to my problem, him assessing it, however long that takes, and then giving me an answer, and then I'm on my way. And he's off
Yeah.
fixing it or he's leaving because I said I don't want the work.
Yep.
And my participation as the homeowner is really minimal,
Yeah.
which and that's because there's a price book and there's a
Yeah.
CRM that's holding it. Like it's
Yep.
all streamlining this whole process.
And on the plumbing business owner's end, now he doesn't have a plumber going in and going, uh, I don't know, $120,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So now
that's
you
that sounds
guarantee that you're gonna make
uh,
money on that toilet flapper or
yeah.
that tank rebuild or that new
Yep.
toilet, right?
Yep.
So
Hmm.
you're gonna make way more money. Like it's you're gonna be profitable and you're gonna find you sell new toilets and tank rebuilds way more often because you're offering them to the customer
Sure.
rather than just
Mhm.
offering the flapper, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think it's probably like it's a no-brainer. A price book with mixed with a CRM
Mhm.
is extremely powerful
Mhm.
for it brings value to everybody. Okay.
Yeah, everybody's winning. Mm.
Customer, the technician, like think about the technician. Now he doesn't have to worry about pricing anything. It's all in the price book. He's just got to
That's
pull.
like,
He's just got to pull it up.
yeah, and like if this technician's strength is the ability to do the work, but his strength isn't necessarily with that customer side,
Yeah.
hopefully that'll come later. Then he doesn't have to walk in there like, oh gosh, I got to talk to these customers and I don't know what to really tell them. And
Yeah.
he can just
I
go
got to
there
pick
and be like,
price.
this is the thing. I just read what it tells me
Mhm.
to read, and now I'm going to do great work.
Yep.
It's just,
And your
man,
techs can be way more confident in the price because they didn't have to come up with it. That's just
yep,
what it is. The iPad did it, right?
yep.
Yeah. So I think it's a no-brainer.
Mm.
Got to do a price book, and you got to go flat rate with your company if you want to make money and serve your customers well and be able to take care of your guys, right?
Yeah,
Hands down. So
yeah.
then the question becomes what? How do we go about building a price book?
Mm.
And there's a lot of price books that you can go buy. And
Mm-hmm.
I would stay away from those because they're overly complicated because they're trying to cover and they don't really make sense either. So like they're trying to cover and be able to sell a price book to the whole of United States and Canada and United
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom and Australia. And so their products and their options likely don't fit very well with your business, how you do
Mm-hmm.
things, the
Mm-hmm.
products you use, and the options you want to offer,
Mm.
right? And it really isn't that difficult to build your own price book. You can sit down in a week, a couple afternoons, maybe some time on Saturday, and you can have your whole price book built.
Mm-hmm.
So, like what I did to build mine is I sat down and I just pieced it out by room. I said, okay, I'm going to start with just the bathroom. And so I would write down on a piece of paper bathroom. That was going to be one of my categories. And then I knew in the bathroom I was going to have a toilet. I was going to have a lav. I
Mm.
was going to have, a tub. I was going to have a shower valve. And then, so then I went to the toilet and I said, okay, what are all the different parts of a toilet? And I just list out all the different parts of a toilet. And each one of those parts is a task. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got other things like tank rebuild and then new toilet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden you've built the different pieces for your price book for the toilet. So
Mm-hmm.
just one piece at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then if I had Service Titan, then I would go in and I would build the category of bathroom. And then within that category, I would build, subcategory like toilet and maybe everything else, or toilet,
Right.
lav, shower, bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would go into the toilet category and I would start building out all the little individual pieces. I'd add a
Mm-hmm.
task and I go, okay, this one's going to be for, the wax ring.
Mm-hmm.
Wax ring, replace wax ring, pull toilet, replace the wax ring, reset the toilet, put in how long it's going to take you, put in how much the materials cost,
Mm-hmm.
and then let Service Titan calculate the final price based
Yeah.
on your hourly rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard. Add a picture to it, one task done, and then just move on to the next
Right.
one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next part, I'm going to do the angle stop. Okay. Angle stop, pull angle stop, replace with new angle stop, add in the materials, add in how long you think it's going to take. Let Service Titan calculate the price for you. Put a picture on it. And just
Mm-hmm.
take it one piece at a time like that. So go through the whole
Sure.
bathroom one piece at a time like that, and then move on to another room.
Mm-hmm.
So then maybe go, okay, kitchen. What do I have in the kitchen? I've got ice maker supply. I've got the whole kitchen sink, maybe a garbage
Mm-hmm.
disposal, dishwasher. It's really about all there is
Mm-hmm.
typically. So then just start splitting that up. Okay, I'm going to do the ice maker. What are the different things I can do with that? New ice
Mm-hmm.
maker line. Pretty much it. Maybe replace the valve on the ice maker box or cut in
Mm-hmm.
an ice maker box. You might have 3 options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just start building out those tasks individually and then go, okay, let's go to the kitchen sink. I've
Mm-hmm.
got
Sure.
I've got a faucet. I've got cartridges in the faucet. I've got basket strainers. I've got the drains underneath. I've got the different parts of the drains underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Angle stops, supply lines, garbage disposals. I've got 3 different kinds of garbage disposals and just build those out one at a time.
Right.
And before you know it, you'll have a price book built.
Mm-hmm.
and it's really not that difficult.
Mhm.
So I would like
Mm.
go lay all of that out on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet or on a Google Doc beforehand. And then I would go into Service Titan, build out the categories, and then start building out the individual pieces in Service Titan.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you're thinking about like how much time it takes to do stuff, well, you've been plumbing for a long time. You likely know, how long it takes you to change an angle stop. And so you
Mhm.
want to think about like, do I have this angle stop on my van? Like, is this something that all my plumbers are going to stock on their van?
Mhm.
If it is, when you're building your price book, it's also a really good time to go build a van stock list,
Sure.
because you can
Oh,
say, okay,
sure.
I'm gonna build this in my price book like it's on the van. That means it needs to be in the van. So let's go put this on the van stock list,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And if
you're taking care of 2 problems at the same time.
two problems at the same time, and then like if it's and you can always go back and just go through your
Of
price
course.
book and then build a stock list. That's what I did. Um, and like for items that you're not going to stock on your van, you're going to want to make sure, like, you're not going to stock 3 different kinds of toilets on your van, right? So in your
Right.
price book, you might have a short round front toilet, a tall elongated toilet, and then you might have a pressure assist toilet. That's what I have in
Mhm.
mind. My guys
Mhm.
aren't stocking all those toilets on their van.
Mhm.
So in my price book, there's enough time for them to go to the store, grab a toilet, come back to the customer's house and install a toilet, clean up their
Mhm.
mess, bill the customer, reorganize their van, and leave, right? All that
Gotcha.
time has to be billed for.
Mhm.
So like a toilet task might be 2 hours, might be,
Mhm.
an hour drive to the store and back and an hour changing the toilet and getting
Mhm.
out of there, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of how you would think about it. Any
Because you
questions
need
on
to
that?
no, that makes a lot of sense. It seems
Yeah.
like that the thing that people would miss is maybe the variability like you're talking about,
Yeah.
um, in, like, the toilet example. So
Yep.
just finding those style of details
Yep.
where it's like, "Oh, this is actually meaningful." Yeah, an hour drive time is meaningful. You don't wanna give that away.
Right. Yeah, and with drive time, like, you want to the way Service Titan works, when you're building your price book, you can do what's called a waived diagnostic fee, right?
Mhm.
And you can have add-on items in the price book. So, if you set up your pricing right in Service Titan, when your guys go into a home, the first task that they sell to the customer is gonna include
Mm.
however much you wanna charge for drive time, okay?
Mhm.
So, like, if your hourly rate is $400 and your average drive time to a job is 30 minutes, then you're gonna charge an extra $200 on that first task that you sell to the customer.
Mhm.
And then everything underneath that, your guys are gonna go click the add-on button. So it's gonna be an add-on task, and that's gonna
Mhm.
get rid of the drive time on all the tasks after that. And
Mhm.
so when you're going through and you're building your price book, you don't wanna include your drive time on there. You just wanna include, the actual task, like, from the
Sure.
time you show up
Sure.
at the house
Gotcha.
to the
Mhm.
time you leave the house, right?
Mhm. Gotcha.
So,
And
like a
then service
water
titan can
heater,
do the rest.
you might wanna do, like, 5 hours, 4 or 5
Mhm.
hours, depending on what kind of water heater you're doing,
Mhm.
and build your tasks out that way. But the goal is to, like, make sure that all your time is covered,
Yes. Yep.
right? And you
Yep.
really, like, if you're the business owner and you're like, "Dude, I can do a water heater in 2 hours." Well, that might be true.
Mhm.
I've done some water heaters in an hour, right? It's in the
Mhm.
garage, I pull up, I swap it out, and I'm in and out. But
Mhm.
I'm really fast and I'm really motivated, and the guys that are
Mhm.
gonna come work for you aren't that way, right?
Mhm.
It might take them 3 hours, might be their fastest time ever.
Mhm.
So, typically, you would wanna make that a 4-hour task, right?
Right. Yep.
Because you wanna build that buffer in your business,
Yeah.
because there's gonna be times where guys go over on how long they spend at the
Sure.
house for
Of
what you
course.
have in your price book, and that's okay, because you're gonna make it up on other tasks, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
You ultimately want your guys to not be in a huge hurry to get in and out of the house, to go hurry up, get this job done, bill the customer, get out of there, because you really want them to slow down and take their time taking care of the customer, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
do
sure, sure,
those
sure.
extra little things like take their trash out for them, or help
Mhm.
them change a light bulb, or reach something off a high shelf that they can't reach, or,
Mhm.
clean up this extra little mess over here that maybe was there when you got there and you didn't really make it, right?
Right.
But just those extra little things that make the service so much better.
Right. Yep.
You want them to be able to take the time to do those things. So
Yeah, to leave that
including
lasting impression.
right. So including a little extra time in your tasks just make sure that you're billing for that time,
Mhm.
right? Because it's all about getting paid for the time that you spend working for the
Mm.
customer, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's how you'll cover all of your expenses and make a profit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay. So let's see, my like line of thinking is the more the plumbing business owner can understand how important the price book is, the
Mhm.
more they're going to sit down after work on Saturdays to do it. Because I
Oh,
think the
yeah.
hang up is that like, in your head, you like sit down, you're like, okay, well, I gotta start in these rooms. And then like, I gotta get to thinking like there's so many things in these rooms. And like, you can get, I don't know, there's a potential to get overwhelmed, but
Yeah.
really understanding the value of it
Mhm.
should motivate you to get it through. Because then like, Jared,
Yeah.
obviously you're done with your price book.
Yeah.
How much time do you need to spend on your price book now that you're done?
I don't spend any time on it. So we haven't added any new items in probably a year.
Yeah,
Um,
so so
and we've
it's just
created a
evergreen.
system where the general manager, manages the
Mhm.
costs of the goods and stuff in the price book, and that's so
Gotcha.
I don't touch it.
How long do you think your GM spends on it?
Every quarter he updates the pricing in there, so
Mhm.
he'll spend a couple days in there
Gotcha.
updating all the material costs
Days per
in
quarter,
in
though?
in the price book. What's that?
Days per quarter?
Yeah, yeah, probably a couple
Yeah,
days,
gotcha.
2, 3 days. Gets quotes
Yeah.
from all the suppliers, goes in,
Sure.
edits the price book. It all has to be done manually.
Yep.
If you're in a bigger area, you might be able to set your price book up in a way where it doesn't have to be done manually, but for us, we gotta do it manually. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
but even still, it's like the amount of it's just one of those examples of like a lot of front-loaded effort will
Mhm.
result in a ton of return
Oh,
with
yeah.
minimal maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it seems like it's an incredibly profitable tool to have a good price book, especially when it's roped
Mhm.
into a powerful CRM like Service Titan.
Mhm.
Like, it just if where would you be without a price book?
I'd be getting phone calls every 5 or 10 minutes, right?
That
From the
sounds
guys
awful.
going, "Oh, what do I do in this situation? How do I price this?" And
Yeah.
I'd
What
be
kind of
like,
options can I give? I'm just tired today and I can't think and
"Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep." Yeah, and so I would say, like, if you're struggling to find the time and it seems daunting, number 1, splitting it up by room, that makes it
Mhm.
seem way less daunting.
Mhm.
And just take it from me, like, once you get into it and you start doing it, you'll realize, "Oh, this isn't as daunting as I thought it would be."
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
That happens so often with all these things, in business, when you're at a job, you're just dreading this task because it seems so daunting and you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
man, I don't wanna do that."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then you get into it and you're
Yeah.
like, it wasn't that bad." Right?
Yeah, sure, yeah. You get into
Yeah.
your mode of work, yeah,
Yep. I
I
remember I was
understand.
on a job, it was a giant weed grow, and we were putting in
Mhm.
this huge new boiler, because it was in Alaska, so the airflow requirements in that place were huge, and because it gets so cold and the building was so big and we're moving so much air, cold air in and warm air out, we had
Mhm.
to put in a
Mhm.
huge boiler to make up the heat, right?
Mhm.
And so the stack had to get bigger, and it was like
Mhm.
2 stories of stack that needed to get ripped out and replaced, and it was in the general contractor's bid to replace the stack,
Mhm.
and he kept telling us, "Oh, man, I really don't wanna do that thing. Like, I'm just dreading
Mhm.
having to do this." And so he put it off for, like, a month, 2 months.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Finally and we're just waiting, I'm just waiting on it, right? And finally he goes, "Alright, I'm doing the stack today. Hopefully it goes alright." Literally, like, 2 hours later, he had the new stack. And he's like, dude, I put that out for so long because I thought it was going to be such a pain in the butt. And then 2 hours
Yeah.
later, I had it done. I was like, yeah, that's how it, that's typically
Yeah.
how it goes.
Sometimes
And
that's how it goes.
that's how it's going to be for your price book, right? It seems daunting up front, but once you get into it, um, it's not as bad as you think.
Mhm.
And then, like, as long as you can not go too far with it, like, there's
Mhm.
always all these little things that you can add. I would only add
Mhm.
things that you think you're gonna replace on a regular basis, right?
Yep.
If you think you're gonna do it 2 or 3 times a week, put it in your price book. If you're gonna do it once a year, once every 6 months, don't put it in your price book,
Mhm.
right? Pretty simple. Pretty simple
Mhm.
rule of thumb there.
Mhm.
That's how I would think about it. Yeah.
Okay, one last question. What if the plumbing business owner isn't a plumber?
Yeah, that's a little harder, I think. Like, they can still go in and see the different pieces of equipment, right?
Mhm.
So they could see a toilet and they could go on the internet and get a toilet breakdown,
Mhm.
or they could
Mhm.
go to a water heater and get a water heater breakdown.
Mhm.
But if they've got plumbers working for them, then they're gonna have
Mhm.
to rely on their plumbers for some information,
Yeah,
right?
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
someday
makes
I'd like
sense.
to build like a just like a pre-made, very basic price book so that a
Yeah,
plumbing
like
business could take it and just add a few tweaks to it and use it.
yeah, that would be, or even just like a template, right? Like, even if you
Mhm,
built out, like, this is your bathroom and this is a visual representation,
mhm,
and these are the things you're gonna wanna account for in your price book.
mhm,
So, like, if I have a plumbing business, I don't know nothing about that.
right.
Maybe my plumbers don't like me because 'cause I'm not a plumber. None of my friends,
Dude,
so
you're
I
gonna
gotta,
have
like, put
problems
this on
then.
my own. I know, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's just
Yeah,
pretend it's still working, right? Let's just
yeah,
pretend it's still working. But then at least I'd have a tool so I could start, and I wouldn't have
mhm,
to just sit there, like, looking at stuff where I
yep,
could be like, "Oh, that's this thing," and then you could do this.
yep,
That would be, because then it's like you're not building it out for them, you're just giving them a template. There's a
right.
template for a price book. You just fill in the fields that are relevant to you and then don't do the rest.
Yeah, yep,
Hmm.
yeah. It's definitely a necessity, though. Definitely gotta
Yeah,
get that
seems like
price
it.
book done, and, I mean, even if like, you could get by without it for a while. I think I had, like, 3 guys without a price book.
Mhm.
And then the second I got a price book, it was like, "This is awesome.
Yeah,
This is
this is
rad,"
cool.
right?
This is cool.
Yeah. Plumbing business that isn't gonna own you. Instead, you're gonna own it. Like, I remember reading these books, and I don't remember who it was, but he was like, "Hey, you're building a business, right? Why not build a business that works for you rather than you work for it?" Right? So you can build your business in any form or manner. And why not build it in a way where it helps you do your life the way you want to do your life, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you want to sit at work and answer phone calls from technicians and have to price everything all day on your own, well then don't build a price book.
Sure.
If you love that. But on the flip side, if you're tired of getting phone calls from your technicians, and if you actually want to make money on every job, and if you would like someday to not have to be at work, then build a price book, right? Make
Yeah.
your business
Yeah.
work for you, right? You
Yeah.
have that option. Why wouldn't you
Huh.
take it?
Yeah, the price book sort of replaces the estimate giver.
Hmm.
Like, you as the GM or the business owner, you're typically the estimate giver at the beginning,
Yep.
coaching guys how to do that, and the
Yep.
price book just automates that for you,
Yeah.
which if we can automate things, that's awesome.
Yep.
Like, if you can take your duties and you can either delegate them or automate them or remove them, then you're doing a good thing.
Yeah. I worked for a contractor that didn't have a price book doing residential service work. And it was like, we either had to bid the jobs ourselves, which we never felt confident in because
Mm,
we never had the tools to do it properly, like a price
mhm,
book. Um, or we'd have to go look at the work. We'd take a bunch of pictures and we'd bring them back to the general manager. And
mm.
then we would say, hey, here's the pictures. He would ask any questions and then he would write up a bid.
Oh,
And it would
that's the
take
best, huh?
weeks before the customer ever got a bid. Sometimes
Wow.
months before they
Wow.
ever got a quote, right?
Huh.
Whereas with my company, my guys go to every single job and give an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
They never, I shouldn't say never. They very, very rarely, like 99.9% of the time, they give an estimate
Right.
on site
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at the job to the customer, and the customer
Mm-hmm.
has options and they're able to get their problem fixed today. And that's incredibly valuable to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to allow you to charge a premium price for your service, and then them be willing to pay it, because
Mm-hmm.
like 90% of the plumbing companies that are out there aren't doing this.
Sure.
They're not going to customers' houses with a pre-built price book with options in it going, "Hey, these are your options. Which one, here's what I would recommend. What do you want to do? How do you want to
Mm-hmm.
spend your money?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
90% of the plumbing businesses out there are not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They're waiting a day or two for an estimate, or they're getting some weird price, or they're getting a guy who sells them a flapper when they really wanted a new toilet, right?
Right. Sure.
And
Yeah.
so
Just because they didn't put it out there.
so if you can go there and just add this one piece of value to the customer, like we've talked about stacking value, right? This is a huge value stack. It
Yeah.
costs you a little bit of money for Service Titan and some time up front putting your price book together. And all of a
Mm.
sudden, you have increased the perceived value of your company like through the roof. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now all
And
of
the
a
back
sudden,
end profitability.
yeah. And now they're all of a sudden way more willing to pay you premium dollar for your service
Mm-hmm.
just because you took the time to build this price book.
Mm.
So it's a no-brainer.
All
Hands
right.
down.
Build your price book.
So everybody go build your price book.
Just got to do it. Thanks, Jared.
See you, man.
See ya.